We are live.
Woo! Happy Wednesday.
Happy
Yay. Happy
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Happy
Another
hump
episode.
day.
Yes, we're back with another episode of Real Chill Conversations. Make sure to follow us and subscribe to not only our YouTube channel, but our Instagram and Facebook as well. We got
Yes.
Dominic in the house. Woo! Brenna.
What's up?
Woo!
Hey,
Brenna.
girl. Hey.
Monique.
Woohoo! And me, of course, Natalie. You can follow
Natalie.
Instagram on pages to keep up with us. So tonight's conversation is centered around gender roles in society and in relationships. So this is an important topic because, well, to me, mainly because I feel like society is changing very rapidly. This is not, the 60s anymore, but at the same time, it's like, okay, we're trying to hold on to some traditions while also pivoting to conform to how life is now. With gender roles, I feel like gender roles are how we're expected to act based off being, female or male. So, for example, when we're young, we learn, that girls are nurturing. They give us dolls. They give us things to cook with, the little easy bake oven. And for boys, for example, they get cars and footballs and hammers. So I feel like things like that, while you should, I'm not saying anybody is exempt from learning how to cook. That is something that everybody needs, not just women. So it can
Okay, Natalie. I agree with you. Everybody should know how to cook.
So I feel like that it can be
Everybody.
it can
Mm-hmm.
be when you're telling, men to just sit back and just like a king on the throne and just be served when that man might get hungry one day and he might look to the left, look to the right, and there's nobody there to cook for him. So now that he has to do it on his own, is that saying that he's being feminine? Does that mean
Oh,
that okay,
No,
not at
no,
all?
that's
absolutely
not.
not.
But Natalie,
Absolutely
we
not.
were taught to do that. A lot of African American people, we were raised off the Bible. And in the Bible they talks about how the man is the head of the house, like the church. So a wife is supposed to be submissive and please her husband in any type of way. And like you said, in the 1960s, wives, they stayed home. They didn't work. They were moms and they took care of the kids and they did everything the husband wanted. And the husband went out and worked and was the provider. But now the gender roles have changed. Like you said, you may treat this man like a king, and then one day you may not be home because you're at a softball game with your kids and he's looking for dinner.
Right.
So we have to change that. Like you said, I feel like a man should cook. I feel like a woman should cook. I feel like a man should clean. I feel like a woman should clean. I've always said it in our previous podcast, a relationship is 50-50 to me. To me, a relationship is 50-50. Um, Especially when it comes to like finances, bills. I feel like, we should share that as well. But that's just, like I said, my personal opinion on that situation.
Yeah, I feel like nowadays everything's so temporary. It's like one month the woman might have to go out and risk it for the biscuit, and then the next month something might happen. She might sprain her ankle, and then might be fall back on her man to go out and make it happen. But I don't think anybody should be seen as less. I don't think that should be like a belittling feeling to have to, for a woman to have to maybe change her tire or her car battery one day. If she's stranded, it's like, look, you got to do what you got to do to get to where you got to get. So with gender roles, it's just like things that are expected. It's kind of like stereotypes, but I guess there can be good and bad ones. I was reading an article and it said that the gender roles affect women more especially in countries where women aren't even allowed to go to school because they have to deal with the household chores and taking care of the family. So I didn't even think about it like that in
Yeah.
aspect.
Um,
Wow, that's strong.
that's very strong. And there was, I don't remember, maybe it was a couple of years ago, but there was a law. I want to say it was, oh gosh, was it India? It was a foreign country, but women weren't allowed to get a driver's license. And it recently passed where now they're allowed to get a driver's license, and they can now drive. And there's a commercial that's been circulating around, and it's got these women drivers doing all these deliveries and doing all these runs, and the men on the street are all looking at them like, oh my gosh, because for all these years they've never seen women drive, and they've never been allowed to drive. Like, that's how it was written into their laws. I'll have to look up to make sure that I'm speaking of the correct country, but I know it was a foreign country across the land, and you would think that they would be modern and up to date with everything, but no, women were not allowed to hold a driver's license. They were not taught how to drive. It just was not in their roster of things that they needed to know how to do. So to me, if you grow up in an area, in a country where you've never seen your mother drive, your grandmother drive, your aunt drive, and it's not by choice, it's by law. Like, you're legally not allowed to get behind the wheel of a car. And that's just crazy to me. Like, I can't imagine that. I remember my dad taking me in the college parking lot when I was like 13, 14 years old, teaching me how to drive a stick. And he was like, you're going to know how to drive a stick. That way, when you get your car, nobody can drive your car. Nobody can drive your car. And I really was the only one out of my group of friends that knew how to drive a stick. And it was like, I thought back to that process of like, here's my dad, and he's taking his daughter, and he's teaching her how to drive, but also teaching her how to work a manual transmission, so she knows how to get out of any situation. If she's left at home and one of the automatic, shift cars are gone, then the stick is still in the driveway. She can get in that and go where she needs to go. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And the
That's a good
cooking.
example. That's a good example of how it helped you, because
Yeah.
that could be a major hindrance. What were you going to
Yep.
say about cooking?
The cooking, I remember wanting a I called it a holly oven. It was a holly hobby oven, and I wanted the easy bake oven and all of that. But now, like, there's all these television shows, these Master Chef Junior and all these Food Network Kids and these different shows, Great British Bake Off and all of that. And you've got all these kids cooking and these young chefs. And a lot of them are boys that are 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. Did they ask for these cooking kitchens and these setups when they were younger because they had a desire to cook? And if so, I'm curious as to know if their parents went forward and supplied them with these toys, or if they stepped away from it and said, no, son, that's not what you need to be doing. You need to be playing with the blocks and the trucks and all of that. I know if my kids express interest in cooking all the time, so we're always in the kitchen. I want them to be able to know how to cook something for themselves, not depend on me or whoever happens to be in their life, or a drive-through to make it through getting a meal.
Facts. It's self-sufficiency.
Yeah, that is true. And since we're talking about the gender roles, I had to get out um of saying to my son, "Oh, you have to take out the trash because you're a boy." I don't want him to feel like, just because he's a boy, he is required to take out the trash because of his gender. I want my daughter to know she needs to take out her own trash as well when she gets older, when she goes to college and when she's on her own. Same thing as like putting gas in the car. We rely on, our spouses, husbands, boyfriends, Brenna, to put gas in the car. But, it's not always their role to do it. We have to take the initiative as well to do it on ourselves. Is it great? Absolutely. But we can't put that gender role on them as well.
I disagree. with some of that. I believe that, in a man's place, especially when it comes to a relationship, those are really the expectations. And I'm speaking about like traditionally. I know times have changed and, people are very independent. But if we go back, that's how it all started. And Edwina, about the 50-50, that's kind of new. But I did used to hear a lot. It was 85-15.
Yep. Yep. I'm a co-sign on that one with you, Dominique. And just to clarify what I said earlier about the women just being able to obtain their driver's license, the country was Saudi Arabia. So it was over in Saudi Arabia, not India, where women were not permitted to drive up until a couple of years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
The splitting of the roles, I mean, when you think about it in terms of relationship, the woman is supposed to be soft and feminine and nurturing and comforting and all of those things. That's what society has put out there. That's what, we're taught. That's what the expectations are that we've experienced growing up. And the men are harder and they're strong and they're supposed to be the protectors. And we're supposed to fall into that whenever we need support and we need assistance. But there's also something to be said for the ability to work as a team. And when you talk about 50-50, I just don't think that there's ever a fair split down the middle. But what you have to recognize is there's going to be times and circumstances when the woman is pulling more of the weight than the man is. The man is pulling more of the weight than the woman is. It's the importance of trying to maintain being on the same page as much as possible, but that's very rare. It's very, 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 very rare in situations where you find that everyone is on the same page with the same understanding, with the same level of expectations, and has no problem splitting things down the middle. I know if I said to my husband, hey, I'm not feeling well, can you handle dinner tonight? He can whip something up in the kitchen. He could do that. He would rather probably that I do it, but he would do it if I asked him to. But normally, like when it's dinner time, everyone is coming to me and asking me, hey, what's for dinner tonight? Like, what are we eating tonight? What's on the menu? Mm-hmm. And so that's just by default.
Okay, because I don't know how to change no tire, and I ain't trying to learn.
Well, my dad taught me how to change a tire just in case if I got myself into a situation, I know what to do. But Brenna, I'm going to piggyback on what you said about how you said the men are the protector and the providers. Now, we all know back in the day that was a man's job. But in the process of a man doing that, being the provider and being the caretaker and all that, we have found out through studies that that's how a lot of African American men went through depression, because they was handling and holding that load on them without getting help from their spouse. And that's why a lot of women actually back in the day started to work more and help out, because a lot of men were getting depressed and it was overwhelming for them to hold on to a household. Like even today, if you put that burden or that fully put that burden responsibility of cooking, cleaning, taking care of all the bills, that can burden anybody down. You see what I mean?
So think about the situation in which you're not in a two-person household, when you're not in a relationship with somebody else and you also have children. You're a single parent, then the burden all falls on your shoulders to do everything, to do it all. The cooking, the cleaning, homework, school, activities, job, everything all falls back on the women. And there are so many cases, especially in the African American community, where there were not two-person households. There was not a dad actively in the picture, living at the house, getting up in the morning with the kids and the mom, and everybody was going about their merry way.
And I agree with you, Brendan, because I'm in that situation now. I'm a single
Yeah.
mom of 3, and I do everything by myself. But I'm talking about in a relationship, in a marriage where the gender roles are reversed. I'm not talking about as single moms, because that's a whole topic by itself, because I'm doing it. I work, I cook, I clean, I go to track practice, everything, all the above. But I'm talking about when you're in a relationship, a marriage, and you have to switch that gender role. That can be very stressful on somebody if you know there's two people in a household and they're carrying that weight. You see what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's why I say it's a 50-50 balance. 85-15 is great if you can find somebody that will do it, but be honest, ladies, it's really
Well,
hard
80,
nowadays to find somebody that will play that role, that will take care of all the responsibilities without complaining or saying, oh, I need you to get a job. The first 6 months is okay for you to stay home, but now I need you to get a job. You see what I mean? That's very hard and very rare to find somebody that's like that.
well, society has made it that way, and I feel like is just a changing environment and the way people think and feel about the roles that each one of them should play. So I really do feel like society has a big part in that. But I was talking about like back in the days, you know.
And
Of
a lot
course,
of
back
things,
in the day, you didn't have to do anything. The husband took care of everything.
I
and
mean, you
a,
still had to cook, clean, of course, and take
Oh
care of
yeah,
the
like
kids,
that. But I'm talking about
but
like
the men
bills
were
and other
still the
responsibilities. You didn't have to
breadwinner.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
yeah, I think a lot of things come to play, especially when it comes to relationships, because I would feel kind of helpless if I was just sitting back letting a man just do everything for me. Um, but that's the thing too. I don't have kids, so I'm not taking care of any kids. I'm not cooking for any kids. So if that was the case, and then I'm just sitting like a bump on a log, just expecting him to do everything because of I'm a pretty girl, it's like I would feel helpless. I just am a helpful type of person. If I can't help you with anything, it's like, what am I here for? I at least want to, get some groceries, or get a cash app you for a little haircut every now and then, or just something, clean the dogs, or just any little thing that I can help with. It doesn't always have to be monetary, but like Edwina said, when men are already taught that they can't cry when they're young, or they have to be tough, or suck it up, and then they have to, then they grow up and everything is on them. It can be stressful. I didn't think about it like that, and it does cause depression, when you can't let it out. And that's another negative thing about the gender roles, I feel, when it comes to teaching people that so young, like, suck it up, you can't express yourself. It's it's harmful.
But also, women were taught, as we were taught as little girls, that it's okay to be emotional. And that can also be a major factor in your life in adulthood. Like, that's not healthy either.
That's true.
You
Oh,
see.
absolutely not. Yeah, because I was taught it was okay to cry. Now I'm a big crybaby. Nobody wants.
See, I didn't have that experience. I didn't have that experience where it was it's okay to be emotional, it's okay to cry, it's okay to express your feelings. So I have a different perspective. I have a different view. Did grow up in a two-parent household. My parents did wind up divorcing, but that was after I had graduated high school and had gone on to college. But I watched my parents' interaction and what they did. And my mom stayed home for a little while after she had me, and then she went back to work. And then 2 years later, she had my sister. She stayed home for a little while, then she went back to work. And then she worked full time from then on. And my dad worked. And so my dad was the one that was really over the finances. So my mom would deposit her paycheck like into their joint account. but all of the bills and everything would be paid from that. And she also put her own money to the side to do her thing and her little shopping and whatever she wanted to do. She did manage to come home from work and cook dinner for us. And we cleaned, but it was a household effort. I mean, I can remember since being yay big, having to do chores and sweep and unload the dishwasher and load the dishwasher and having to do laundry and things like that. And my mom, taught my sister and I how to cook. My dad got in the kitchen and he cooked. He's the one that taught us how to grill and things like that. But as far as the emotions, we were not exposed to that. The only thing that we were exposed to was a lot of tension in a very tense household. And I don't know, maybe some of that tension was my dad feeling the pressure of having to step up and be the man. But this is a guy that grew up with just his mother. His dad was not in the picture. His parents divorced when he was like 2 years old. So he didn't have a male role model in his life to show him how to be a husband and to show him how to be a father. So I do remember whenever my sister and I would get upset or something would happen and we'd be crying, I'd be like, stop crying, quit crying, don't cry, suck it up. We literally were told that. So I always had a negative reaction and a negative response to feeling any type of emotion and allowing myself to really be soft and vulnerable, because it wasn't allowed. That's not how you acted in my household.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I could say that, yes, I was probably a crybaby, but different. I am like a tougher cookie now. So I get it. I understand what you're saying, but we also have to remember that when you are in a relationship and a woman has kids, she has to work, kids, cook, clean, that's a lot on a woman too. So I definitely want the help. If it's there, I'm gonna get it.
Yep. Everything is temporary. You never know what could come up. Life happens, things happen. So I just feel like the more well-rounded you are as a human in general, whether you're a man or a woman, it's going to be helpful. I believe in being more of an asset than a burden. So, it,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
I'm
know,
with you, Natalie, on that. Yeah.
there's so many
Let
things.
me help you.
Yeah. So I was reading there are 4 basic kinds of gender stereotypes, personality traits. So that's like what we were saying. Women are expected to be accommodating, emotional, and men are usually more aggressive and confident, like they have that arrogance about them. Then there's the domestic behaviors, like we've also covered. Women taking care of the household, cooking, cleaning, the children, while men take care of the finances, the car, and the home repairs, a little handiwork. There are also gender stereotypes when it comes to the occupations. People are quick to assume that most women are taking on jobs like nursing, teaching, and then men are the doctors and the lawyers, engineers. And then also with physical appearance, this is another one of the basic 4 kinds. Well, one of the basic kinds of gender stereotypes. Women are expected to be graceful, while men are expected to be tall and muscular. So it's like, what about all the people that fall into, like all the men that, what, you're not supposed to feel like a man because you're 5'6"?
Yeah. And what about the women out here doing the same damn job that a man is doing, but we're paid 80% less than what a man is getting paid for doing the same job?
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all feel
That's
like
so true.
men are intimidated about being with women who are the breadwinner?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Hands down. Yep.
You
That's
got
true.
those commercials that it was like, anything you can do, I can do better. And it was like the women going against the men and they were racing and they were doing this and doing that. I just thought about that because I
Yeah.
was like middle school when they had
Because
those.
they're not used to that.
And
They're
some
not used
men
to the
don't
role
like that.
switching. Yes, some men like it, but some men they don't. Some men don't want their wife to make more money than them.
I guess that would be a form of what, masculinity
Mm,
in a way,
could be.
in a woman.
Yeah.
I guess
We
it's
all have those traits. So, I
Yeah.
mean, there's
We have.
feminine traits, yeah, masculine traits.
Yeah.
I
Because
think
can you imagine you going on a business trip for 2 weeks and then your husband staying home with the kids? You see, they're not ready for that role
Okay.
switch.
Give me
switch.
that trip.
Oh,
Give me that trip.
that house will be a tornado and upside down with no roof.
Exactly. See, and we're so used to the men taking business trips and the wives staying home, and taking care of the kids. They said throughout the pandemic, a lot of women had to actually step down for their corporate jobs to stay home with the kids. But now that everything is changing, they're going back out there to their jobs again. So the husbands are not really happy about that.
No, because they're sitting at home. They're working at home.
Exactly.
They're working
With
at home
with the kids.
with the kids.
And,
Speaking
and
of
this is
business
the
trips,
last week of school too.
speaking of business trips, my mom had to go on a business trip. And so my dad was left in the care of my sister and I. And when she came back, she was like, "What is going on with y'all's hair?" My dad, my dad tried his best.
Oh,
Oh
He
my
tried
God.
his best to get us in these little pigtails and braids. Oh, but he just fell short. He didn't know. He tried though. He tried though. My mom was like, "We're gonna have to figure something else out. Next time I gotta go out of town, I'm gonna make sure y'all get your hair braided before I leave."
That's too funny.
I'm with Natalie though. My house would be a tornado,
Yeah.
probably.
Okay, we leave
Yeah.
for a day. Like,
yeah.
what happened?
I could, because growing up, my mom, she would just do everything. She would wash the clothes, she would cook, she would clean. And I can't really remember too many times where my dad made anything other than like breakfast here and there. But to make dinner, it's like, nope. And then they have a joke where they're like, yeah, you would always pick the kids up and never feed them. You would just wait for me. And I'm like, damn.
That's funny. And
We,
Natalie, it was different for me because my mom was the one that was gone and away and at work, and my dad was the one that was cooking and cleaning, taking care of me and my
oh,
sister.
yeah.
Because my mom's military, so she was always gone.
Oh, I
How
see.
did he feel about that? That's a good example right there.
He
Hmm.
How
loved
did
it.
he feel?
He took me to go get my
He did.
prom dress, like everything I needed to do. He was always there. Like he was just seeing all the milestones of my life.
It
So
Oh
takes,
yeah.
wow, he was girl dad goals.
Yeah, girl, dad go all
yeah.
the way. Sports events, everything. And his cooking was way better than my mom, but I hope she's not watching this. She'll make it.
Sorry, mom.
Sorry, mom. Love you.
It takes
But
us.
my dad's from the islands. He's from Dominica, so he can cook all the Caribbean food.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
And they're taught to cook at a very young age in the islands. I don't know about how they are in the States, but that's what they're taught to learn how to cook at a very young age.
Yeah, it takes a special kind of man to hold that down because, like I said, the multitasking, I'll be like, look, now, you can do more than one thing at once here. Like, just put it to the back of your mind.
Yeah. And I guess that's why I'm so very understanding about men and what they're going through because I saw that in my father. So I can relate when men are going through something or when we were talking about depression with men or
Mhm.
that load on them because I've seen it with my own father.
I see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it take a really tough person to take up that role, especially when it comes to children and being at home, a stay-at-home dad or a stay-at-home mom. It's
And
not an
stay
easy
home stay
task.
home dads are on the rise now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, how much do you think a woman should be making for a man to actually decide to stay at home?
It depends on their lifestyle. I mean, not
Yeah.
everybody needs
Yeah. And what
to
career
look.
they're in as well.
Yeah, some people are fine
Mm-hmm.
living, just happy. I mean, it doesn't have to. I was when you first asked that, I'm like 100K.
Right. I'm
I
thinking
was
six
thinking the
That
figures.
same thing,
I
Natalie.
wanted a
Six
number.
figures.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 figures.
Six figures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Comfortable.
then you have some people, like I was watching this show, this woman, they bought a school bus and rented it out and traveling the world, and that's what she does. And I'm like, who wants to do that? But they're living a happy life on nothing.
Yeah.
You see? So it depends on who you are, what you want to do, and your career path.
Yep.
And the lifestyle that you
And
want
exactly,
to
Brenda, and the
lead. Like,
lifestyle you want.
do you want to go on vacation? Do you want to travel? Do you want to go out to eat? Do you want to take the kids, on different adventures and skating and bowling and things like that? I mean, there's things that cost money, to do. And if you're living that lifestyle, if you want to live, in a house and you want to buy a house and you have a mortgage, there's certain income requirements that you need to meet, and you need to have that in order to not have the financial stress placing a burden on the entire household, because that's just a mess, and everyone is just going to be miserable because you want to live a certain way, but you're not able to financially. So you have to, I think, establish what kind of lifestyle is it that you want to live. Are you happy just being comfortable? Are you happy with, we do this every once in a while? Or are we the type of people that plan, tropical getaway vacations, and we travel to different countries 4 times a year, and we're always out, every single weekend for things that cost money to get into? Or are we the type of people that find the free stuff, the free things that are going on in the park, and going to the museums for free and different things like that? And there's people that are perfectly fine and are happy doing that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, the number that jumps out at me, I'm like, you have to be in the six-figure range, I would think, in order to successfully be able to manage.
Hey, and talking about dads, shout out to my dad. He's in the comment section.
Hey,
Love
Dad.
Hi,
Hey.
Dad.
Dad.
Yes. Father's Day is coming up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And speaking of Father's Day, I'm so disappointed. I went to Walmart and it's a small little section for fathers. Ridiculous.
Really?
Yes, I hate that. Like, we go all out for mothers. Mothers, they do a lot, but there are some good fathers out there, and I applaud. Shout out to all the good fathers, because
Yeah.
that's ridiculous. They
Yeah.
have a small little, and it was a card section. It wasn't even nothing like cool to get. Like, no mugs, no tools, no
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah. They're sending us to Amazon.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. That's so sad.
They said, make that card with computer paper, girl. My dad worked more.
Here's your 57th toolbox for your
Exactly.
Father's Day gift. Here's a set of tools.
And your slippers.
Right? And your socks and your boxers.
Yeah. I feel like I
They
do that
had a
every year,
mug
though.
cup. That's all I saw was a mug cup, like with some candy and chocolate in it. I was like, this is pitiful.
That is
That's
pitiful.
a
I hate that.
shame.
Every year. Every year.
But we get the flowers and balloons and presents and jewelry and all kinds of money, and they cook for us or take us out to eat, and the whole shebang. So
exactly.
What kind of message y'all think they sending?
Not a good one, not a good
there's
one.
no balance there, and that's pointing to the stereotypical gender roles. You're erasing the importance of the father's presence in the family by showing your very little limited display of appreciation items to choose from.
Exactly. I don't know if you ladies want to do this, but maybe we should change it up a little bit this year. Maybe find one father that we can give a Father's Day gift to. I don't know if you want to pick like a single dad or just a dad in general. Just, let's switch it up and find a father we can probably give like a little $15-$20 gift card to. I don't know. We'll figure out something. But if you ladies want to do something like that.
All right, single dads, post in the comments.
Yeah.
Let us know. Let us know what you want
let's
Father's Day, and we'll try to put something together for y'all.
Yeah. That would be nice.
Yeah, it would be nice,
It's crazy how ingrained these gender roles and different stereotypes are in our lives. Sometimes we don't even notice.
No.
Exactly.
The further we get away from, the traditionals, it's like, to me, I find that it's still important to hold some of those things near and dear.
Yeah. That's so true.
I agree with that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's so true, Natalie.
So good talk today, ladies. Did anybody have any other points that they wanted to bring up? Anything we didn't cover? Any questions for us down below in the chat section?
I don't have anything further.
Okay.
I didn't
I'm
have anything
good.
either. I'm
No.
good for the night.
All
Yep,
right.
me too. It was a great conversation, ladies.
Yes, indeed.
Always. So make sure to tune in every Wednesday night right here, Real Chill Conversations, live on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, StreamYard, and many more platforms to come. Subscribe, follow us, and thank you guys for the continued support.
Yes.
Woo!
All right, y'all. Have a
Bye,
good
y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.